Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrina and this is Katrina Reads. So this is part 2 in a series where I read bad reviews, like 1 and 2 star reviews of my favorite series or favorite books. And this time around I am doing Until the End of the World, book 1 by Sarah Lyons Fleming. This is a post-apocalyptic zombie. They call them Xers in this book. They do the Walking Dead thing where they don't call them zombies like we do. Well, I think 1 or 2 times it's called, but because they come from a virus, the virus that goes across the world is called Coronavirus X. I think they call them Xers. And I think other teams call them by different names as well, other survivors that they come in contact with. And I actually came into this book through a novella that was like free. So I see now what these authors are doing. I remember getting this novella free and enjoying that so much and going back and just devouring the series. And I love the series. I've read it multiple times. I haven't read it in a couple years, and now I think at some point this year I'm going to redo all of these, because as I'm talking about these books, I'm realizing how much I've missed being in these worlds and hanging out with these characters. So let's see. So Carrie Forrest is the main character in this. The synopsis is quite long. So let's see. Carrie Forrest isn't surprised to learn that the day she decided to get her life together is also the day the world ends. So she tries to get to her friends. She tries to get to her parents. She tries to get to her friends, then she tries to get to her parents' cabin. She has her ex-boyfriend with her, her friend's bratty sister, and that makes things worse for her. Survival's great and all, especially when you have leather armor, good friends, and a homebrewed beer, but there's something Cassie must do besides survive. Tell Adrian she still loves him, and to do that, Cassie has to find faith that she's stronger than she thinks, she's still a crack shot, and true love never dies. So this book, let's see. Yes, all the like when I was redoing the Magicians, all the first page was all 1 and 2 stars. All the first page, I'm having to go further to find 1 and 2 stars. Okay, first 1 star, first 2 star, and then right after it is 1.5 star. Okay. Honestly, I do not understand what people like so much about this book. I am sorely disappointed. Cassie talks and acts like a 17-year-old, and she's supposed to be a grown woman in her mid-20s, 28. As far as I understood, several of her childhood college friends have ended up working at the same community center in Brooklyn, where she does newsletters, and their dialogue and the way they act is beyond juvenile. As far as I listened, Carrie kept lamenting in her head about some horrible mistakes she made with regards to her then boyfriend, fiance, 2 years ago. This was around the time that her parents tragically died in an automobile accident. We are supposed to be interested and curious about the huge mistake, but yawn. Apparently, this happened in the spring, so Cassie spends all of her time when she's not working out or drinking with her friends or spending time with her current boyfriend she almost loathes, but is having a hard time breaking up with because she does not want to hurt his feelings, in her flat with shutters drawn in springtime. She pays so little attention to news and the going-ons of the world, she has no idea until this morning how much the coronavirus LX has spread around the world and in the country. But then, most people do not seem to think this is a biggie, even though some major cities in the U.S. are under martial law. Considering how hysterical people were in the U.S. during the last outbreak of Ebola in Africa, I find that inconceivable. This was written in 2015. So, let's fast forward to 2020 and see how seriously people took or have taken coronavirus. And people get depressed and don't go outside. And 20-year-olds act like juveniles. I have 3 20-year-old kids. They still act and talk like juveniles. When you're with your family and your longtime friends, you act totally different. I could see the trip to the cabin in order to avoid the city zombies being signposted a mile away, but we had to get there via awkward dialogue regarding the kissing skills of a nerd friend who finally seemed to have hit it off with Cassie's BFF Penny via running away from the infected and his head hanging off his neck, and I decided to back out of this trip while Cassie was inspecting some bins in the basement of her flat, containing gear that her survivalist parents had thoughtfully prepared for the incident such as this. It did not help that the audio performance was lacking. Every male voice sounded like the same guy was speaking. Mentioned first by Cassie, then commented on by Penny. One of the things, I don't know what version she listened to, because, oh no. This woman, Julia Whalen, she is my absolute most favorite narrator. And because I'm such a big audio book listener, I have multiple favorites, and she is the top. She is the cream of the cream. There are many books that I never would have read if not for her as the narrator. I would, the synopsis wouldn't have gotten me, the cover wouldn't have gotten me, but the fact that she deigned to read it, I listened. And so for her to say anything about the narrator skill, some of the people underneath says, I'm in the grueling process of listening to this book. Your review is so spot on. I bought this audiobook because of the high stars from other Goodreads members. Thanks for your honest, realistic review. And then someone else, I totally agree. It's a bad rendition of an overplayed trope. I don't even know if this is supposed to be YA fiction or not. It's not. The denial of the seriousness of the situation was really bizarre. Most major cities in the U.S. are quarantined and falling apart, and you live in New NYC, which is now infected, but you're going out for drinks at night? Like, hello from the future! So that's pretty cool. It's not cool to be in a pandemic, but it's interesting to go back and look and see, yes, people are this dense. We have a whole America of people who work, go to school, go out to eat, go party, spit on people and fight at the grocery stores, mad at people because restaurants aren't open, the restaurants that are closed. Boy, wow. Okay, second review. I really wanted to like this book because there are a lot of great reviews about it, and it's highly rated on GR, but it turned out to be the same old zombie apocalypse, and I've read better, to be honest. I wanted to experience the thrill and horror and gory details in the fight for survival of a zombie apocalypse, but all I got were reports after the fact from the internet, radio report, and small experience retold by side characters of the fall of different cities and vague reposts of chaos from other countries. So I'm going to jump out of that one. Okay, so I think everybody's opinion is valid, but I really understand people from different points of view of what they want to see in a story. I don't want gore. I don't care about the strategies of getting out of the city. The whole point of this story for me, and the reason why I'm drawn to this one and not something like World War Z or some of the zombie apocalypse stories that my husband listens to, is because he likes the strategy, he likes the hierarchy and the militariness of it all, and the gore and the description of the different kinds of weapons and things like that. I am involved in, I loved their banter. I loved their friendships and their relationships. I loved the drama of it all. I like dramas, and so if the backdrop heightens the drama, I think in a way that makes it palatable for an adult, I guess, because we feel like this, and like we feel like our whole lives are on the line when we're teenagers. Like that's the love of my life. I will love him forever. Oh my God, he's gone now. I am going to die. We feel like that because, and so it's almost as if the zombie apocalypse or Death Every Day in Grey's Anatomy in a hospital or something like that gives us permission to feel as strongly about. It gives the story a reason to be so. I don't know what my husband is doing. It gives us a reason for this condensed amount of drama and for everybody to be together, because in reality we're scattered all over the place. You know, my adult children are in Colorado, my best friend is in Maryland, you know, so it's just like everybody's everywhere. So the reason why I love this is because it makes up for that, and I can get just completely, you know, cozied up in this world of friendship and love and high stakes. And so that's what I like about it. So I can totally understand if someone's wanted to hear more about the survival stuff. And she goes into a little bit more of the survival stuff because, first of all, there's a backstory to that. So I think the other reviewer complained about survival stuff, and that's completely borne out by the fact that her parents were survival nuts. And so they had a cabin packed to the hilt of food. They, in their basement, in their New York apartment, in their storage, they had food and weapons and bug out bags. Her inconsistent personality and Mary Sue character got on my nerves. She even had, oh yeah, so this is the one I read before. I've done this series before and I just lost all the footage. So I was wondering if she even had the gear and weapon stash and well-stocked cabin prepared for the apocalypse. She even had all her friends along for the ride. Mary Sue, that's not a Mary Sue. There was an absolute reason why. Like I said, I know there are a lot of people who like this book, but I guess it's not my cup of tea and not what I look for in a zombie apocalypse book. I totally understand that, because if it was something different, if it was flipped and it was all strategy and all the kind of stuff that I just said before, I'm not going to repeat myself, which I am very bad at doing. You don't know how much I cut out of these things. Then I would be probably writing the same type of review flipped. So I totally get it. At least she didn't say anything about Julia Whelan. This last 1-star one is short. Though I gave this book bonus points for starting with the events that led to the apocalypse, something I love and few authors do, I could not even finish the book. My first problem was with Cassie, whom I see as a glorified Mary Sue. With all the preparedness she has for the apocalypse and stuff. She behaves like a teenager, but she is like the super survivalist, except when she is clumsy. Bella from Twilight, anyone? She was a big turnoff for me. The second thing was Anna and Peter, and not with their characters per se, but with the fact that no one called them on it. I'm motivated to read this due to the reviews, but now I'm wondering why people loved it so much. Truly a mystery. It's interesting. I was so much more talkative on the responding to the reviews of The Magicians, because there was so much more than opinion, I think, with those, whereas these, it's like, it's just an opinion. Like, I can't argue with opinion. I can't argue with someone. The only sticking point, the only technicality with this is that it's not Mary Sue that she was prepared. Her parents were survivalists. She took it a little less seriously, but they made sure that she and her friends and her sibling were prepared. So that's not a Mary Sue thing. She was a good shot. She was, they did all that stuff. That's all part of being prepped. But she was a flawed human being. She, you know, made mistakes with boyfriends. She stayed in a relationship that she didn't quite want to stay in. The guy was douchey. She was lonely and depressed and kind of stilted in her life. And maybe some people maybe some of these people who went to the store and they just wanted someone who was completely forwardly moving. And Cassie was not that way. She was stuck, and lots of things had to pull her out of being stuck emotionally, while she was also dealing with the end of the world. So this one was a little quicker. I hope it comes out a little bit quicker and a little bit more positive than the last one, because the last one got a little more just really kind of investigating why we read books and stuff. So this one was a little less than that. So if you stuck with me through this one, let's see, let's do a backpack. There should be a backpack emoji to let me know that you got through to this end. And thank you so much for coming to my page multiple times if you've been here before. Thank you for continuing to support me by liking and subscribing. Be easy on yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.